Call this meeting of the Smith County Emergency Services District Number 2 to order at 6 p.m. Certify there is a quorum present with 4 commissioners. Commissioner Wilson's not here right now. He's got hung in traffic, but he's on his way. And at this time, I'll ask Commissioner Donnelly if he leads us in the prayer and pledge allegiance to the United States of America.
Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening to praise you for all that you do for us and give you thanks for all that you provide to us. Lord, we pray that you would be with us throughout this meeting, as you would be with us throughout all the days and weeks as we serve you and as we serve our community, Lord. We ask that you would watch over us, lead us and guide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
All right. Item 3, recognition of guests and special presentations. The only person I see is probably Matt Barnett from the Texas Forest Service.
Go ahead and get it out of the way.
Okay, come ahead.
I did bring some reading material for everybody. I know how y'all know that. So I've got some for each individual fire department. We'll just do that after the meeting. I also brought something for the board too as well. I'm relatively new to this position, so I don't know what you guys do and don't know about the agency. So a lot of that information is right in here for y'all. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and pass this around to you. A little bit of a summary about our agency. You'll also find in here a list of our capacity building programs, which is grants. Everybody likes grants. And also a summary of what each Smith County department has. So that'll kind of give you guys an idea on how to plan your budget. That's all I've got. I can get you another one if you need one. So that's for you guys to kind of look over. And like I said, I don't know really what you guys do and don't know about it, but I'll be available after the meeting. And each individual fire department, you guys can get your stuff too. So I've got a list of what you guys have in for your grants, what you do have, what you don't have, what you can put in for. So just get with me after the board meeting. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. So, does the board have anything for the board service?
No,
Appreciate you guys.
Just keep giving us your grants.
Yep.
That's all we have.
Don't look too hard in there. I didn't hide any checks or anything in there. not tonight. There's not like a special packet or anything. So no money tonight, but we do have a funding meeting coming up on October 12th or 13th. So I don't know. Maybe we have some lucky winners in there.
All right. Thank you, Matt. All right. Item number 4, public comment. Would everybody signed up for public comment?
We've received none.
Okay. Okay. Number 5 is consent agenda. Approval of minutes and financial reports. Receive, discuss, and take any necessary action relating to those.
Okay, I will note that under the special call meeting of September the 6th, 2022, the minutes that were attached did have a correction. JD, you confirmed that you've gone back in and made those corrections. So with those corrections, each one of those minutes are correct now, and as well as the financial report submitted. It speaks for itself. There are no notable errors or additions or anything that's there. So I make the motion that we approve the minutes under 5.1 and the financial reports under 5.2.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Donnelly that we approve the minutes under 5.1, August 25th minutes, the special call meeting of September the 6th and September the 12th. There was a correction on the special call meetings of September the 12th, which was item number 16.
September the 6th.
September 6th, I'm sorry. Yeah. And so that, and then also he made a motion to approve the financial reports that presented under 5.2. I have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner McKeithen. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Item 6, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action related to the payment of accounts, bills, invoices, payroll requests for reimbursement, requests for any other payments, transfer of funds, and amendments. I've looked over all of them, and they seem to be in order. I know some of them were approved earlier in the year, but for whatever reason, we just not getting the invoice on them to pay them, or the stuff just came in, so.
Yeah, there were a couple of them in there that, one of them is for the Red Springs plow for $3,640.64, that it does exceed the allowable $2,000 without our board approval. And we have another one under the Flick Gresham for the 2-year 990 appropriation at 3506. Also note that if you were to go through and look at the subtotal for all those individual items, it is incorrect. One of the items for the waterway, the district host testing at $15,277.50. That's what was not included in the total. So what you see as the total there is incorrect by that value. The actual total is $708,664.28. And I believe also the district host testing does exceed the pre-approved value that we
thought we pre-approved that.
So we did approve it. However, the quote that we got was based on the inventory of hose that we was able to collect prior to them coming out to do it. And so when they actually came out and did the hose testing, there was more hose than what we had found on inventory. I'm sure it was something that the guys didn't see, or maybe we had a truck out of service that didn't get counted or something like that. They still charged us 18 cents a foot on the extra hose, but it's over by about $1,600. The hose testing is done and complete, so this is where we're sitting currently.
And then what about, what happened to the plow? And was it something between last meeting and this? Or did we already talk about it? Just refresh our
The
memory.
plow was actually previous
Okay.
to the last meeting, it was not brought up for discussion. So it got put into the shop and it ended up needing more work than what Mike had anticipated. And this was the first time that we had used dog. And so they weren't aware of that $2,000 mark. I wasn't made clearly aware of it. So it should have come in for prior approval.
Okay.
Had to have the cylinder rebuilt on it.
To be honest, I don't know what all that happened.
That's what, when I read it, was what was the cylinder rebuild?
there's several things they had to go in and do to the
Yeah,
plow.
yeah. That was the major thing, I mean.
Okay. Well,
All that being said and noted, then I'll make a motion that we approve the, under the payment of the bills under 6.1 for the value of $708,664.28.
Second. A motion by Commissioner Donnelly to pay the bills for
$664.28.
$708,664.28, and a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We pay the bills. All right. Number 7, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on proposed NEPCO invoice payment of $62.40 per bunker year. So it was previously approved, so. Who's going to speak on all this stuff?
Okay, so in August of 21, we came to the board for approval to purchase $82,000 worth of bunker gear. The very next item was also a bunker gear.
We completely skipped section 6,
Oh, did we?
district credit cards,
Oh, okay, I thought that was all under one.
and 6.3.
Okay, well, let's back up to 6.2 and 6.3. I'm sorry, that's my fault. When they thought that deal up where everybody votes, everything goes crazy, everyone's confused. All right, so So 6.2, then, credit cards.
Yeah, I looked at all the different charges and everything there, but, you know, there were a few things in there, but nothing of really material that I don't have any questions on.
Okay. All right, I have a motion to approve the district credit card payments.
Maybe. I'll second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Stevens, second by Commissioner Dominic, in favor. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. All right, 6.3, contract payments. So our employee dental and vision, paging services, district phones, electric bills, payment to the appraisal district, fiber account, workman's comp, life insurance, health insurance, new station loan, district wireless account, and all paper calls.
I'll make the motion that we approve the contract payments for $1,006,546.22.
Motion by Commissioner Dominic to pay the contract payments for $1,006,546.22. Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, number 7, finance. I guess you're going to speak on that, JD, or somebody else?
Yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, in August of 2021, we came to the board and asked to purchase bunker gear. And the very next item, we asked for wildland gear for a Dixie grant. Part of the bunker gear that was in the previous item was also meant for Dixie's grant, to make up their full amount that they needed. So we got approval for both. The bunker gear purchase was $82,000 and some change. We rolled that into this budget year. It has taken so long for us to get the gear in and get the invoice in. After talking to Eric, we wanted to put that back on here to make sure that we could go ahead and pay it without there being any questions or anything like that. We did have the approval a year ago. It's taken, by the time we got the gear, got the invoicing and everything. So basically, what's going to end up happening is this is what we owe, but Dixie will get a $15,000 check. So it's all going to come out good.
Okay, so what's the debt you're asking us to pay right now?
Basically, it's $4,319.
Okay. Now, I'll make the motion then that we approve the payment of $4,319 for the Dixie.
It's really the 12,426.
Oh, okay.
That's,
Okay, so, yeah, okay, so the payment will need to be for the $12,462, but what's actually gonna come out of the pocket of the district by the time both of those items are all done is the $4,319.
So we need to approve the $12,462 for it. And then we'll get the grant checks in.
so, well, what's the 6857? 12,462 plus
That's the
6,857.
wildland gear that we ordered through another vendor.
So we've already paid that.
Have we already done that?
No, we haven't even received the goods.
Yeah, we haven't received it.
Okay. And we're sure that it's the 12,462.
Positive.
I trust
We
you.
spent way too much time on this internally.
All right, go ahead.
I apologize.
I'll restate the motion then to approve the payment of $12,462.40 for the DC Wildland gear.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dominic to approve the $12,462.40 for the Dixie gear. Have a second? Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Number 8, discuss and consider taking any action on approval of premium payments to Texas Mutual for the annual renewal of workman's comp insurance for paid staff and for the volunteers.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we are asking for approval to accept the quotes as we have received, and that we, in both cases for the paid staff and for the volunteer staff, that we take the in-network policy option. We pay in full for the volunteer policy premiums, and we take the installment option for the paid staff policy premium, which it is installment, but they don't charge any extra interest for dividing up the payments over 12 months. So it makes all the sense for us to keep the money as long as we can. The premium was up a fair amount for the paid staff, but when you put that in relation to how our payroll has increased, the premium actually went down in relation to per unit on the payroll. So, nevertheless, for next year, we hope to have at least 1 or 2 more quotes for the workman's comp.
Have you chiefs filed for your grants for the workman's comp? Good. All right. I'll entertain a motion as to what you gentlemen would like to do on.
So what's the value? I know the value for the ESD is $267,056. But what is the total value for the VFDs? Whenever I looked it up, I looked at them individually. I didn't look at the total. We need to know what our total commitment's going to be here.
Yeah, I've never added up the individual ones that was attached.
So, and we can try to add them up, or I can call them off one by one.
If you'll call them off, I'll add.
3833,
Okay,
8127,
okay,
8896,
okay,
3841,
okay,
4447,
okay.
3440,
Sorry?
3440,
Okay.
4823,
Okay.
5127,
Okay.
3326,
Okay.
3600,
Okay.
5965.
55,425.
$65,425.
55,425.
So I'll make the motion that we approve the payment for the in-network policies for the VFDs in the amount of $55,425, as well as the installment for the staff policy in-network. The payment will be $22,272.47. Monthly total committed would be $267,056.
I'll say.
Have a motion by Commissioner Domney and a second by Commissioner Keithan to pay $55,425 for the volunteer fire department's workman's comp insurance. Also the $22,272.47 a month for the paid staff for a total of, what's the whole total?
$267,056.
$267,056. Any other discussion? Or are you second for right now?
Yes.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 9, discuss, consider, and take action on the proposed closure of the Simmons Bank account and transfer the funds to the Fidelity Investment account. You speak on that, Eric?
Yeah, it's, the money is simply earning too little for us sitting in Simmons Bank. And by transferring it to Fidelity, we will drastically increase the earnings as well as reduce the risk. So it's a win-win both ways.
For a motion, I make a motion, we transfer, close our Simmons Bank account, transfer the funds to Fidelity Investment account.
A motion by Commissioner Keithan to close the Simmons Bank account, transfer the funds to the Fidelity Investment account. And a second by Commissioner Domney. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, item 10, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the proposed board designations of cash investments. Eric?
Yeah, I mean, I assume all the commissioners have read this, and it is, the intent here is to better convey to the public and other concerned parties when they see our annual audited financial statements, what the commission's intention was for the funds that we have in the fidelity account. So by doing this designation, it will actually read, when they see the funds, that it's designated for various reserves as outlined in the appendix to the agenda, rather than just having one line that says $15 million in fidelity. I mean, the amounts and the allocation to the various reserves is not written in stone. The commissioners or the board could at any time reallocate those monies too.
Motion
I'll make a motion that we approve the allocation of the investment account as duly noted in the attached document.
Motion by Commissioner Donovan that we approve the attached document as outlined with the allocations. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right.
I just have a quick question on that. Is that one paying the same 2.7 or whatever?
It's the same account.
Same account?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. It's about $1,150 per day.
All right, thank you.
Discuss, consider taking necessary action on the recommended migration process from QuickBooks to OpenGov. I think that one's also yours.
So come next Monday, October 1, we will officially stop using QuickBooks, and all new bills and various accounting documents will be coded into OpenGov cloud solution. So there's, again, I probably overdid it with writing that long description for you, but I wanted the board to have a full understanding what we're trying to do, and also be fully informed of the risks and the two main alternatives that exist. And I gave the recommendation that I believe, together with the advisors that I have consulted, the two GMP and Squires, as well as the implementation team, that the hard cutover, as we call it, is the right way to go. It's not completely without risks, but it's probably the least risky alternative.
You did a pretty good outline of what everything was, so my deal is, you're the one that's gonna have to live with it, make it right if it goes wrong.
It's
right?
on me, that's
It's
fine.
on you. Right.
He's trying to get it on you too. That's what he's
Yeah, well, he's trying to, but hey. All right. I hear a motion on this?
So, I guess I'm gonna question, does it actually need board approval to do it?
I don't think it really needs board approval, I think it's just something.
It's information.
I mean,
I'll tell
I wanted you to be
I'll defer that
informed.
our attorney.
I don't think it requires approval, I think it's more for your information.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's fine.
all right.
Thank you.
But
Now you are informed.
nothing, even with this risks, I mean, it's all correctable, you know, it just.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't impact any real money.
Right.
The money's still gonna be in the bank.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Go for it. I trust you.
All right. Item 12, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action for PPE budget request in the amount of $159,423. Request includes second set of structural PPE for Art and Plant Jackson noonday staff, 2 full sets for 2 noonday volunteers, 100 pair of structural gloves, yearly advanced cleaning and inspections. Merlot?
Well, the second set of structural gear, that's what we've talked about before in the long-range committee meetings. TCFP is pushing. There's departments out there like Houston that are pushing for our guys to have a second set instead of us waiting till the last minute. We've been working the last couple of years to go ahead and implement that. What it consists of is a jacket and pants. They go to a fire. It's also a cancer initiative. They go to a fire. It cuts them out of being in that dirty gear. They can get their other gear washed and dried and have a second set ready to go to respond to a next call. That part of the total request would be $107,549.64. The second thing there, Chief Harper just received a gear grant. He had 2 more volunteers that would exceed that grant that he's wanting to put in the gear. That's the request on the 2 noonday volunteers getting gear, which was budgeted. The 100 pair of structural gloves, we're going to go to a different style of glove due to some of the burns that happened to firefighter Gambage or driver Gambage. We're going to change up the style of gloves we're going to. We're currently got some members in some wear tests. So as soon as we figure out that's what we want to go with, we want to go ahead and order those and get those on the guys' hands. The yearly advanced cleaning and inspection, that's just that is a new thing that I want to try to do. It's a third party. It was budgeted and approved. Just coming to ask to go ahead and get that. All of this is in the 22-23 budget. I'm just asking go ahead and get it started because the gear itself is going to have a 4.5% increase October 1. But if I get it ordered the day before, we skip out on that and have a savings there.
But the invoice will be in the new fiscal year?
Yes.
Yes.
All this will be in the new fiscal year.
I know that you have the breakdown on each one of these costs, what you have to have budgeted. And for me, it's going to be maintaining that budget, make sure that we don't commit beyond what you actually
Yes, sir.
request in there. So without having that information here, how can you convey to us that you're going to meet those?
I have a track history of staying within my budget, and I'm going to continue doing that.
And I appreciate the comment, but I can't just say, take, trust me.
Yes, sir.
You got to demonstrate to us what your committed costs are going to be against what you're doing.
Right. Committed cost on the second set of gear is going to be $107,549.64.
That's entirely what you had budgeted
For
for that?
that set part.
I verified the total amount, because what is in the budget, and it's correct for the set.
So we budgeted $107,549.64.
Correct.
We budgeted.
Yes, sir. For that, for those 4 departments for the
those
staff.
4 stations,
This
yes.
is exactly what we're spending.
That's on the line item what it was. Mr. Murillo actually did a whole write-up.
It's just rare to say.
Yeah, my whole budget is lined
I
item.
actually did check it before we did
Fair enough. So what are the 2 full sets of the volunteers going to cost us then?
They're not going to exceed $3,936.61 a piece. So if anybody has a calculator and wants to do that. Sir? The per set is $3,936.61. The 100 pair of structural gloves is $16,000.
I've got a question. Actually, two questions.
Okay.
How many of our firefighters already have 2 sets of PPE?
Right now, the process, let's see. I've already have Red Springs, Dixie. They're already ordered or have their second set of gear already.
On the gloves,
Uh-huh.
I understand what y'all are trying to do, but I'm curious, we've had discussions on trying to be conservative with our budgets this year, and my question is, every time there's a a new thing that comes out. We can't just throw everything we have away and buy new ones. So why are we going ahead and buying 100 instead of just buying 25 sets and then phase them out as they're damaged or expired?
Yeah. Well, that's because, you know, we had an unexpected burn to a firefighter. And we can't say that we give these certain guys this gear that the others aren't going to have the same injury. So we're trying to prevent that from in the future, prevent that from happening. And it's a life safety. It's something that we can't, you know, build in there and do over time. We've got to do it. And I've waited to my new budget to do it, which was way too long in the first place. But it's got to be done.
How much for the yearly?
On the inspection, I budgeted $28,761.50. I over budgeted on that. Just like the hose testing, there's stuff out there that's in closets, that's places that we don't get to go, that's being stored away. And last year we tested 183 sets. I budgeted 250 just for a safety cap in there in case there's gear that comes about that we didn't know that we had.
Okay, I'm gonna address that. We will have an inventory of everything we have. I don't care whose closet it's in. Just, everybody knows. We will have an inventory of everything out there.
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna guess at it anymore.
Yeah, once I can get a better number, I can budget better. And this also helps me make my next year's budget on what needs to be replaced.
So how much did you budget for that?
I budgeted $28,761.50.
That was reduced,
Huh?
that was reduced down to 25.
Absolutely.
It might have been. Was it? I can't remember.
Plus or minus 100. So we might only buy 100 pair of structural gloves. So we have 100 or less people. I mean, that covers every volunteer, every paid staff, everybody.
Okay, so,
Because we can't treat.
right. No, this is for everybody.
Right.
Like, I don't differentiate.
I understand. I just want to make sure 100
No.
is an odd number to me.
Well,
I felt
it's
like
to
we had
get,
more.
I need more. I budgeted, when I was doing the budget, I typed in the wrong thing, that's on me, but we can work into it, but that'll get pretty much everybody that's actively entry certified, it'll get gloves on their hands.
Any other discussion, question? Motion.
I think I'd like to break the motion down into each one of the individual items that are listed there, rather than giving a cumulative approval. Let's approve them on a per item basis.
However you want to make the motion.
I make the motion that we approve the purchase of the second set of structural PPE for Art, Vance, Jackson, Noonday in the amount of $107,549.64, as well as 2 full sets for 2 new Noonday volunteers for $3,936.61 per set. We approve the purchase of 100 pair of structural gloves, and I believe, Rillo, you said it was 15,000?
16,000.
16,000. And we approved the commitment to the yearly advances, the clean inspection of the gear in the amount of $28,761.50.
Eric, do you have that number on you or not?
No, I think 28 is correct.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion by Commissioner Domney that A, we purchase the second set of structural PPE for Art, Plant, Jackson, Noonday staff in the amount of $107,549.64. B, 2 full sets, 2 new volunteer firemen at a cost of $3,936.61. C, 100 pair of structural gloves in the amount of $16,000, and the yearly advanced cleaning and inspections at $28,761.50. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second by Commissioner Edwards. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, stuck with that budget for each of those items. Item 13, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action for request for payment on the final draw invoice to Bison Construction for the Red Springs Station 2 project. Who is going to speak on that?
This was an approved project to redo the bathrooms in Red Springs. This is the second draw on that job.
It should be the final draw.
I'm sorry, third draw. My apologies. We went ahead and brought it before you to get it pre-approved so that it didn't take as long to get them paid.
I got a question. Why did they stop construction?
I don't know for 100% fact that it's because they weren't paid, or if it had something to do with the fact that during the period that they were waiting for the draw, the marble that was intended to be used in the construction of the showers apparently ended up on a different job or something of that nature, and that delayed. So they've
I'm just
been,
kind of curious, because I've never known a construction company just to stop construction if they didn't get their money without first telling somebody, hey, we need our money. So I'm just kind of
I
curious.
think this is not a giant operation, and that those draws are pretty important to them to continue in their payment of contractors and subs and the purchase of the material. And so,
So there have been no change orders today?
they did come forward with a change order requesting to go to paneling instead of the vinyl wallboard because it's very difficult to come by and the price had gone through the roof on it. That's the only change order that occurred, and that was to maintain the same price that we had, so there would be no increase.
How will we be at risk for the increase in the paneling cost? If
So
the lump sum
they
vote, right?
could not, it was not an increase in paneling, it was an increase in the product that was listed for the walls. They couldn't get it, and if they did, they're gonna have to pay like double what it was.
I understand, but
Not our problem.
that's not our
That's
cost.
not our problem. That should come on them because they quoted it.
We had a conversation with them, and due to the length of time it was gonna take to get the material and potentially increased cost, we said, let's just go with the paneling.
But it's inferior product.
With the process that we use to seal it, I don't necessarily agree.
So wood paneling versus vinyl?
This is a coated paneling that they installed and painted with oil-based sealant.
Okay. So you're asking for pre-approval for the final payment. We have one change order in place currently, but do we have we're gonna have to have an unconditional waiver and lien release prior to final payment. Meaning that they gotta get a release, that none of their subs are gonna come back and try to put material liens or labor liens on the property or anything like that. So we gotta get all that stuff in place before we can make that final payment as well, make sure punch list and all that stuff is taken care of. Oh. Go ahead. I don't know, I guess it's, what y'all's feelings on authorizing prepayment whenever the work's actually completed?
We're not asking to give them the check tomorrow. What we're asking is to get this in place so that upon completion of the job and the aforementioned issues being clarified, that we'd be able to pay them instead of waiting until the next board meeting. I mean, we approved the project for whatever the amount was, and we come back for a draw, and we have to wait for it to come before the board to be voted on again.
I'm fine with it conditional, as long as they give us the waiver. Not to harp on it, but I am a little I mean, I don't think, they've already installed this stuff, correct?
Absolutely.
I think we need to make note and recognize the fact that when we get a bid, that's what they're gonna do. That comes out of their profit. I mean, they need to order that material and go then. I also think that we need to keep this in mind, and I historically have liked this company, but they may be, we're not gonna string them out as best we can on paying them, but we need somebody that gets in there and gets the job done, not waiting on the next check kind of thing. But yeah, I have a pretty big problem with it. I understand y'all made a decision to do that, but next time, I believe I'd hold them to what they told us they were gonna put in, especially if it's, and I'm with Brent, I kind of believe that's an inferior product when there was a better, I mean, it would probably work, but there was a better alternative. But I'm good with the conditional, as long as they give us the waiver, then I'm fine with good on that.
Any other question or comment? Now I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that on receipt of waiver and the completion of the project, after a walkthrough by our staff to make sure it's up to par, we authorize the payment of $45,362.
Actually, it's just 15.
My apologies.
15,241.
$15,241, sorry.
All right.
That's what
Have a motion by Commissioner McKeithen, that we go ahead and authorize the remaining payment in the amount of $15,241 upon the receipt of the waiver and a walkthrough by our staff to make sure it's up to specs is what it should be. And,
I'll second
I have a second by Commissioner Dominey. Any other discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 14, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the fire chief presenting discussing issues of the board for future actions. I know Chief Arnold's not here for Mark. Is anybody here representing Mark? Bullard?
Good afternoon. Good. Right off the bat with our report, 89 incidents for the month, and what I like to see, lots of zeros. 0 one-person response, 0 incomplete reports, 0 no response, 0 missing reports. All the numbers down through there look pretty good for participation from our membership. There's a few on there that we're looking at for room for improvement. And so we're engaging those during our monthly one-on-ones with our staff, just to talk about what we can do to help them be more successful, engage more, what kind of trainings they're looking for, what their next certification may be, what's their goal, what's the next milestone that they're trying to get to. 89 incidents for the month of August. I kind of conservatively put us for probably 900 to 950 at the end of the year. So it's been a little bit more busy than the last couple of years. And some of that probably due to the increase in wildland calls that we've had this year. The boat, Bullard Marine 1, was down for quite a few weeks. We had an incident where the lower gear unit went out on it, so we had it out on tracker boating, and so we made repairs to that. We paid for that out of our budget at Bullard, and it's back on the lake and in service. I was able to make it to the volunteer fishing tournament this last weekend, so got all the bugs worked out of that. In fact, speaking of the PRs, we've been real busy last month, and we're going to be really busy the next few weeks. I've counted 12 PRs for the last month. We got to participate in Tyler with the East Texas locals, They had a big car show where we got to go and participate with Tyler PD, Christus EMS, UT EMS. They had probably over 100 classic cars there competing. Mayor Don Warren with Tyler was there to present an award to all the first responders that were in attendance, and got to see lots of little kids demo the truck, shake a lot of hands. It was a good time. We participated in White House at the Rose City Tri, and as I mentioned before, the volunteer fishing tournament out on Lake Palestine. This week we have the fire prevention and awareness with Brook Hill scheduled. So they call it First Responder Days. They'll have Bullard PD. I believe we're landing the Christus Flight for Life, as well as the Christic Medic 47 from Bullard will be there. Fire, we'll have the inflatable house to go over stop, drop, and roll, and smoke alarms and safe meeting places, as well as demoing the truck. That carries us over to next week, where we have Bullard Early Education Campus, Bullard Primary Campus, National Night Out, which we'll have there in the middle of town, the homecoming parade and bonfire standby. Then on into the next weekend for the Mike Balfe, our board president, is going to be hosting his annual Veterans event with the classic car show. He's going to have 8 Medal of Honor recipients, Huey helicopters, tons of military vehicles, motorcycles. We'll have a parade from Tyler back into Bullard. It's a really, really, really big event. He fundraises the whole thing, free food. It's a great event for the public to come out and participate and get to meet everybody. October 17th, we have scheduled Cub Scouts First Responder Night. We have a organization called Camp Gladiator. It's a boot camp style workout. They're going to be coming to our station to kind of do a tour, meet with our staff, talk about fit checks, health and exercise. And we plan to do somewhat of a very safe and within reason combat challenge with them, just talking about gear and some of the environments that we go through. And then at the end of the month for Halloween, we'll do our annual Halloween patrols. Several of the neighborhoods there in Bullard get very busy. The streets pretty much shut down. The city rents a dozen generators with spotlights to put up in the neighborhoods, and we take our side-by-side out and just kind of patrol the neighborhood, see if anybody needs help. Christus is going to bring their side-by-side out, and they'll be patrolling the neighborhoods as well. We're hosting a CPR class tomorrow for probably 80% of our department's going to take that class to either get recertified, or some of the new folks get certified for first time for their CPR, first aid, and AED. We began attending, we as the officers of Bullard Fire have been attending the Bullard City Council meetings, trying to have a bigger presence there for the city, have familiar faces, make good contacts there. If they ever need anything, they know who to go to, who to ask help with. And as you may know, the Bullard City Council, the city manager is actually on our board of directors, so it's a good relationship that we have with the city. We did spend about 4 or 5 hours a couple of weeks ago at Brook Hill to do a pre-incident planning. We met with their security team. Good opportunity to find and locate Knox boxes, make sure our keys work, find out what we have access to, what we don't have access to, locate all the fire alarm panels, evacuation routes, talk to the teachers about what to do in the event if we're going to be planning a response, where their safe meeting place is going to be if they have to evacuate outside the building, locate our FDCs, flow test hydrants, find our elevator control panels and sprinkler risers, and just everything that we could think of while we were there. Was a good experience. So we're also planning that now with Chief Jones with BISD security. And so we plan to try to visit most all the campuses there with BISD to do the same thing with them. As far as membership, we're still growing. We have 5 on probation. We have 6 in Firefighter 1 training. We've had 3 new applications. If you look there on the report, all of our new folks are ranging between 20 and 35 calls for the month of August. So they're staying very active, getting to participate. The overnight staffing for our volunteer has gone really well lately. We've tried to work better with our part-timers there on the morning to have a handshake between the end of our 0800 and the beginning of their shift to make sure that we continue to have coverage between that. Our board of directors decided to have they're planning a gun raffle. So just wanted to mention that if anybody's interested in purchasing a ticket for a gun raffle, we're going to be selling 800 tickets to raffle off 20 firearms. We're completely out of the loop on on how those firearms get distributed. We're going through an FFL dealer, so they'll be responsible for all the background checks and making sure that people are, eligible to purchase a firearm within the state of Texas. But it's going to be a good fundraiser for Bullard Fire to help offset some of the costs that we have, like the repair that we made to the boat, and we continue to pay out of pocket to help send people to EMT school to further their education and further their certifications. And the last thing I have, I wanted to share a thanks and an appreciation to Chief Clanton. I had two really good experiences with you over the last month. The most recent one was a structure fire there in White House, where you were running command, and it was just a good experience for me. Showed up, you handed out an assignment, we went to work. You didn't micromanage, you had an expectation, and I felt like it all flowed smoothly. You had an AAR there on scene as soon as it was over, and lots of really good input from everybody that was involved. The other one was the car versus house that we had in Bullard, and I appreciate you and Captain Tolley coming to. We had to shore up some wall inside the house to make sure it's structurally sound before we took off, and so I just want to say thank you. I appreciate seeing you as a chief out in the field, sharing your knowledge and experience with us.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any questions? Thanks.
We've been having a busy month, like you always have, for the calls. We did, like to say, help out in the Smith County, our fishing tournament, raising money for our association. Came out real good on that. Also, we did our homecoming parade at Chapel High School. Plus, we've been sitting at, we're doing help out in the football games. We've been kind of doing help first aid as well as the ambulances there. So we get out to see the people more. Then also we did help with the triathlon in White House. I sent 3 trucks to help on that, and that came out real well there. Did real well on that come out. I do have 2 officers taking the officer training class, as well. I got 2 firefighters also in the fire academy going through that stuff. And I did get another new member coming on the department as well. And then the last one we got, I just received it just a couple weeks ago. We got us up a grant. I got a large chassis truck from the Forest Service grant. It came out to be $90,000 for the chassis and $20,000 for a skid unit. And I'm already starting checking with some of the dealerships to see what's going to run for us.
What is large chassis like?
It's got to be over, their qualification is over 22,000 pounds, and it's got to have at least a 500-gallon water tank and 250-gallon pump. Those are all the qualifications except for large chassis.
650,
Yeah, roughly, yeah. It's got to be over 22,000 pounds, yeah. At least that's what we're looking at right now.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Thank you. Dixie, Chief York.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. Hope y'all doing good. My numbers are all over the place. So it has 8 missing reports, 2 incomplete reports. We had the triathlon this past month. Fishing tournament was this past weekend. I think they ended up making between $7,500 and $8,000 to the association. That turned out very well for everything. I think they could have used some more participation out there, but they made it work. So I appreciate the command trailer and everything that's being used out there. And tents and everything. I didn't get to go out there. I had to work Saturday. I work every Saturday. But what I hear, everything turned out very well. Still got 2 guys that are on the roster. One of them is going through the fire academy now, doing well. That's Sam Drake. Other than that, everything's going smooth. We're getting ready for the audit. Been getting information together there for the audit and stuff. Other than that, that's all I got. Yes, sir.
Your 8 missing reports. You understand what?
I'm going to have to get with Murillo after the meeting when y'all go in closed session and look and see what's going on. That's usually not an issue. I don't know what's going on.
You got no responses. This period too.
Yeah, that's
I wanna put
impossible
it
either.
There was a code set that was missing from these no responses prior, 61112, which is dispatch, but no response. The guys are sometimes coding this out on the field. That code's meant to be used if you get a fire alarm, for instance, and 2 or 3 seconds later, the fire alarm cancels, and there's no volunteers around that call. We're seeing this get used, though, and we're gonna have to send out an email about it, where even though they're en route to the truck, they're not reporting it as a cancel code route 611 call. They're reporting it as the wrong type of call. So I would be willing to bet that that's what is no response.
You could do all districts.
Yes.
7.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Great.
Well, anyway, I would like to thank Mike in maintenance. He's been real good at sending emails on the updates on the ladder. Last one he sent out, they were saying the end of this month, we're supposed to have it back. It was coming out of paint and had all the parts and was supposed to have it put together. So that, I just wanted to thank him because he's really kept emails coming and really kept us in the loop of what's going on. Where engine 1, they had it for years. We didn't know half the time where it was at or what was going on. So I did want to thank him for that. We helped out with the triathlon. I don't think we did very good with the fishing tournament. I didn't have anybody. All my people were out of district. As far as new people, I've got 2 new people. They both signed up to go to the academy that Chief Clanton and all them are putting on. I've got another new application that just filled out that we're working with him. And then I've got 1 other firefighter that's actually in the academy. So I've got several coming out in several different avenues. The 1 no response that I have is exactly what Larry was talking about. It's a miscode. And then I've got 1 late report, and I'll work on getting that one cleared up. But that's it. Does y'all have anything?
Good afternoon. Since we went to 59 incidents for the month of August, we had 4 events for the month of August, which were back to school events. I did receive a thank you from Betty's Learning Center for how the guys treated the children professionally when they were doing their training or set up there at Betty's Learning Center. Since we have 3 incomplete and 2 missing reports, I checked that on yesterday, and that all is 0, so we don't have any missing or incomplete reports. Don't have any new recruits. Have any questions for me?
All right. So 101 incidents. We're tracking at about 1150 for this year, which Seems typical each year. We're increasing about 100 to 110 calls each year. Our roster is full now. We have 20 folks on our roster. As you know, the city of Noonday, we pay for insurance, cancer policy, and also life insurance on the folks. So roughly it's about $60 per person. So we had, when I first got there, I think we had about 40 people on our roster. Probably only 7 or 8 were actually active. We do have 3 new members that just started. They are entry certified TCFP EMTs. So of our full roster, we have about 9 or 10 that are entry certified. We've got some folks that are still taking classes. We also helped out with the fishing tournament this past weekend. One of the chiefs has brought to my attention that it was discussed a while back about the firefighters having access to the station. I know Larry's working on that. Any idea what kind of
We're looking
time
at
frame?
probably the middle of next month.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Changing up the way that firefighters have access to the station. Yeah, back when we first installed the access control system, they had a chiefs meeting that everybody had access to their station. Chiefs had a meeting, I think last month, and discussed that they wanted to allow every member on any department. So getting that through the change management process and sandboxing in this transition.
We're getting ready for our annual awards banquet in November. Some of you should have already received the save the date, and invitations will be going out next couple weeks. Other than that, that's all I have. If anybody has any questions?
Chris Springs.
Good evening. Those of you who don't know my name is Michael Roden. I'm standing in for Mike. He didn't really give me a lot to pass on other than that we're doing all right. We're trying to get issues fixed, and we're trying to get new volunteers on board. That's about all he gave me. So if you have any questions, I probably won't be able to answer them, but that's all I got.
We had a good response out there, and I want to thank everybody that participated in our fishing tournament out there, and the ones that donated to it also. I want to thank everybody that done. We've had 2 young people finally getting on our department. One of them is fixing to start the academy, and then I've got another 3rd one that should be turning in his application tonight. We're working on trying to build it up to where we've got enough younger folks. Some of us old ones are getting to the point where we can't do a whole lot. Today we had 2 troop firemen and 1 lighthouse fireman help out at the Hill Creek Baptist Church. They were setting up their pumpkin patch, and we went up there and spent about 3 hours up there helping them unload a 40-foot truck full of pumpkins. And I'm sore. I think I touched every one of them. They were very receptive of our help up there. If it had been at a different time, we probably could have had more participation. But I think everything got fouled up as far as their trucking, and so we went with what we had. I don't know whether there's any problems with our responses. I hadn't even looked at it today. I don't see anything that's out of line there.
The one person responses are creeping up.
Well, on the medical calls, we're using one person at night, and then we've got everybody else that's backing them up if they need it.
And I understand that, we're looking at it, we got a gas leak, fire alarm, unauthorized fire burn, no gas leak, structure fire, and wildlife fire. So I was at 8.2 of that.
Jackson Heights Fire. I think what that was, is we carried the dozer up there and assisted them with our dozer. That's the reason that there was a one-man response on that one.
Yeah, we went outside district, I sent participation, so.
Yeah, our dozer, our operator and dozer went up there and assisted them. The gas leaks, most of the time, we have two distribution places there. One's on 110, one's on 13. And every time they put the mercaptan in there for the stink, we get called on it, sometimes 4 or 5 times a day. And it gets to the point where, the alarms, I'm not sure about that one.
Chief, do they inject that mercaptan during the day?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes early in the morning, sometimes middle of the afternoon, sometimes late in the evening. It just depends.
Yeah.
And people drive by, and that's first,
Yeah.
most of the calls that we get on gas leaks are from passerbys that call it in.
Well, both of them were on the weekend, so I can imagine that was, I was trying to figure out, if staff was there or not, but I didn't even pay attention to what that week, so. Cool.
Nights and weekends, we handle what we can with what we got.
Sure.
And do our best to keep up with everything. Anything else?
Over there, everything's looking good except for when you get over to that no response again, and it was dealing with that issue that Larry's talking about. There was several of them on me where I run medical call. EMS canceled me. I put that number in there, and as soon as you put that number in there, it'll pop up that you didn't respond completely at all. Okay. As far as that goes, back to the other, I want to thank all of the volunteer fire departments that come out and help with the triathlon. I do believe, and I think Larry was there, and we both discussed it. I think this year was the smoothest it ever has run through, and got everything went said and done. The runners got done. The whole thing. I mean, normally in the past, the whole thing in the past, we'd wind up getting everything put up back home and over with would be 4 or 5 o'clock that afternoon. I think we were pretty much wrapped up, said and done, and gone by 3, wasn't it, Larry? So it was very awesome. I want to appreciate, like I say, I want to thank all the volunteer fire departments that helped with that. Everybody pretty much had somebody there. Also with the fishing tournament on Palestine, we took our boat out there along with having Noonday and Bullard boat out there. So we had all 3 boats out there, which was awesome, and the boats kept going all through the day during the tournament. So that was an awesome deal. New recruitments, I've got one application that I got given to me this weekend that I've got an envelope to send in, and I have heard I've got 2 more that's supposed to be coming to our meeting Monday night. That's all I've got. Any,
I heard y'all mention the tournament on several occasions. Nobody said he may hit you fish.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, the young man that actually won the tournament, he sit there, and I think he didn't even have a partner. Because our fees that we were doing for the tournament was by the boat. Okay? He won big stringer, had almost 20 pounds and 5 fish, plus 1 big fish. He had a almost 9-pound bass. Wow. And he Yeah, he carried home, he was doing good to be, what, Tim, 30 years old, the way he looked?
Probably.
Yeah, and carried home $3,500. So he had a good day with it, you know, and had a real good day with it. And there was two guys, that father and son, that I know and I fish with a lot. That they are pretty big. I mean, if y'all got time, I'll tell you a little quick story about them. They are real big on area lakes around Tyler. He's one of these that there's 7 days in a week. He'll fish 8 days. And matter of fact, in the tournament, he was. They were doing the weigh-in for the tournament, and they didn't even place. So, you know, they had a 12-pound stringer, but it wasn't good enough to make money. But overall, it was good, great turnout. Everybody had a good time.
I have one more thing that I'd like to add. I talked to UT Air One, and there were some issues with the heliport that we had in True. And so they're going to do away with that as their initial landing pad, and they're going to move it to our station out there. They're going to set the chopper down there and use that for their dedicated landing strip. I meant to say that earlier and I forgot, and I apologize.
Chief, are they gonna be able to do that with those guy wires there? Most of the time they won't land that close.
Yeah, they came out. I had all three of the heads of the Air One part of it. They came out and looked at it, and he said no problem at all.
As far as Winona goes, we've been pretty busy this month. I think it's 101 calls. I'm about to look into the 21 person responses. That's a really high number considering what they've been in the past. So far, I'm about to look into those. I do believe we're having some reporting issues with our no responses, which we will look into as well. We've been into multiple events with bonfires and homecoming parade, and by all means, we've been attending all the football games for Winona, showing the public we are there and willing to support in any way we can. But we've been training every second and fourth Saturday. I believe we have 5 in the academy, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, we are just running every which way we can and trying to make sure we stay up with everything.
The no response deals that I looked at the last Cross 3, you know, the medicines and firearms we don't see, but like the EPA major, are we still thinking those are coded wrong?
I don't think those are coded wrong. In fact, I'd be surprised if the medical assist. The only ones that I really believe are coded wrong are going to be firearms. Okay. It'd be abnormal for you to cancel on that assist after you check that.
I believe the one medical assist there, that was 5 something in the morning. I believe we had a paging error. Like almost everybody I talked to, it came in as blocks. Like it didn't even show a message. The MVA there at 750 and 49, I think it was. I was looking at it just a minute ago. That's a real hard time for the volunteers because we're all going to work at 8 o'clock. So, I mean, I don't know what we can do to fix that.
I just wanted to make sure the data is accurate so that we can.
I believe this is accurate.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Thank you.
Before we go into this other stuff here, I'll ask Mike to go ahead and pass out these stipend checks to everybody so you can have them to everybody to your apartment.
You get some.
Just call them up to Mike. Sergeant not here.
Goodbye.
Thanks. Well, I want to give Sherry a lot of credit and the rest of the staff. They pulled this all together. You'll have a check in here plus a detail of how it's broken down, who gets what, or whatever. So it makes it a little easier for you to divvy it out. We've got our signers. Bullard? Calvin? Jackson Hines, there you are. Redspring. There you are. True. White House. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. I know it took a while to get them, guys, but we've got them now, so now we'll see how recruits goes now. We appreciate it. All right. Training report.
Do you guys have any questions on the document that's provided for you? Do you need me to go over any of it? I'll be brief. All right. One thing I do want to bring to light and be sure that everybody knows of is that we're doing the area law enforcement forcible entry training. On the 15th of October, we'll also be doing some tactical combat casualty care for the officers that attend that. And we've reached out to the counties around us. We expect a fairly large turnout. Our staff will be instructing all facets of that with our forcible entry door props and our paramedics teaching. Again, we had the fire academy start up going, and that's fantastic. We have a pretty decent turnout for that. Really excited about it. Other than that we obviously have had a busy month, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time unless you have a question.
How many total students you got in fire academy?
I think we're at 11.
And that's they'll be TCF able to challenge the test afterwards?
They'll be able to take TCFD test.
That's awesome. That's one. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Sherry?
In August, I had talked to the board about the retirement plan for the paid staff, and you all had wanted me to find out how many employees were interested in the 457B. And the association did a poll, and they have 58 employees that are interested. So I didn't know if you needed to go over the plan again. I can do that if you wish to. Do you want me to go over it again, or I know you do have those?
I think all we're responsible for is the setup cost.
It's the setup cost of $750, and then the annual cost of $1,800 for the administration fees. Is like the ESD.
$550 a year, or is it just one-time setup fee?
It's a one-time setup, yes. And then it's the $1,800 a year. And then the other plan, the way that it had been left for testers, for the volunteers, was Chief Monger was going to get together a board on that, and I believe he's working on that. I have my notes that he was supposed to come back in November with that. So I don't have any further information on that at this time. Okay. And then the safety reports, I've gotten one in, and I detailed with your information on that. It was an incident in Chapel Hill where tanker 1 was left with half a tank of water, and the brush truck was left with half a tank of fuel. They remedied the situation, but we just wanted to bring it to the attention and couldn't make a problem. So that's all I have.
So we know who left it in an unserviced condition, unserviceable condition. I mean, it needs to go back to not targeting the individual, but looking at the process by which we return things back to operations. So after we've got them out on call, bring them back in, they have to meet a certain criteria before they're ready to go out again. So where's the training, where's the checks and balances that say that we got that done? If we're going to look at it, it's not to target the people that did it, but it's to target the system that allowed it to happen, more sense. So we need to take that as learning, pass it on to ensure that we don't repeat it.
It's not a tool to beat somebody up, just to make sure we do things correctly.
I mean, they did exactly what we asked them to do, right? They identified the hazard. So it's incumbent upon us, though, to identify the checks and balances that we need to put in place so the hazard doesn't repeat itself. So that's really what my question is. Have we followed through to say, oh, here, I mean, we got the information, what have we done with it?
And I'm not mad about it, but in the future, I think this is something that these safety reports be brought maybe to us in a closed session and then addressed with the proper department. I don't want it to be, I want it to be identified, but I don't want it to be that we're calling them out or anything like that. This one is not a bad example, but I can imagine there would be some.
Okay, well, we need to go back to 16.1. We want to take any action on the retirement on the 457 for the paid staff. So 750 set up and $1,800 of first initial payment would be $2,550, is that right?
Yes.
So let the staff do it. They're almost 100. All of them want to do it, so I understand total participation. And that's only them putting into this account. We don't, all it is pay for the maintenance.
I mean, I'll make the motion that we approve the retirement plan, yep. The value at $2,550, which is inclusive of a $1,800 annual fee, that'd be a recurring fee.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Downey, we do the 457B, for the 750 set up at $1,800 annual payment. Have a second by Commissioner McKeithen. Any other discussion or question? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay. Item 17. This is you, Larry.
Can we look at 17.1 first?
Yep. Discuss, consider taking action on renewal of software subscription.
What I've come to the board today is to request what's budgeted in the software subscriptions line item for all IT subscriptions. Most of our subscriptions renew in October. Some of them will renew a few different times throughout the year, such as OpenGov, they'll invoice probably 1st of January. But all of these are basically contract payments. They're commitments we've already made when we purchased the software in the first place, and these are just renewing. So just ask that the board goes ahead and approves our total here for all of our software subscriptions. So as they come up, we can go ahead and renew.
You know what the total is on that?
4, 5, 7, 8. I'll make that motion to approve the 154,573 budget amount for our renewal software and subscriptions.
Have a motion by Commissioner McKeithen to pay $154,573 for the renewal of our IT subscriptions. And a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 18, Chief of Operations report. Chief Smith.
You skipped Larry's report.
No, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, I was gonna, that's okay. Most of the information is included in your report. Y'all will notice there is a change in this report from the IT report to support services to reflect the changes made to the organizational structure. So within this report is IT report, a short summary from me as Support Services Director, and then throughout the bottom of this report is going to be the logistics report, where we're at on the logistics projects that are ongoing. Facilities division report. These are problems or projects that are acknowledged, which I need to talk to you all about a couple, get some direction. And the fleet division report, which is going to be traditionally Crowell's report, and kind of where we're at on the longer term projects that they're working on. So we are going to be working to increase some of the KPIs so we can get y'all some better insights going forward, but it's going to take a little bit for us to develop those out. As far as facilities go, I was informed by the facilities committee, which is working on transitioning more to building improvements and station locations as they start to pass on some of the daily tasks of handling the vendors and repair needs of the stations over to me handling facilities. So they were able to get that tree and everything removed from Troop Station 3. After the removal, though, we found some roof damage. So we're going to have to start getting some quotes on the roof damage that was caused to that station. As well as there was some storm damage caused out there as well. So we've got to get some quotes on that.
What about the unsatisfactory job?
So from my understanding is we have that mold abatement done out there at noonday. Chief Grant has gone out there and looked at that and said that some of the craftsmanship is pretty shoddy. And he has attempted to get with that vendor to get them to come back out there and address the situation. And we haven't paid them the complete amount yet, and we're not getting much of a response out of them. So,
The Serpro.
really? So he's going to work on transitioning these over to me, and I'll start following up with him, and maybe an additional person might shake them up a little bit.
Yes.
That's the hope.
The tape and bed job is not good at all.
And we hadn't paid them and they're not talking to us?
We had given them, I think, $800 on the front side.
But they
And
end up talking to us.
they will.
I bet they do.
Who was the contract?
Serpro.
Okay, that's hard to believe, but yeah, I mean.
So along this line, though, I kind of wanted to take this time to just make a couple of quick announcements, especially to the chiefs in the room. As we move forward into OpenGov in the new budget year, and we have the new purchasing policy that's in effect, we're not going to be able to do any purchases in the field without a purchase requisition and purchase order. We're going to take a slow approach to implementing this. So it's going to start with the internal staff, and then we're going to start building out and start training on the purchase requisitions module. We want to make sure that we get all the procedures lined out internally before we start pushing those out to y'all. So it asks that y'all refrain from any purchases in the new year without first talking through admin to get purchase requisitions or purchase orders. If you're going to places like Rockmore's or auto parts store where you're used to purchasing, you're going to have a PO number. And then also, just to make everybody aware of the organizational changes from the last, when the org chart was passed, my new role is support services, so I will be overseeing facilities, fleet maintenance, IT, and logistics. On the facility side, you're going to have to bear with us because there's nobody there that's really assigned to take care of that task. So it's going to fall on me, and we're going to have to build out the systems to support that. There's a new logistics portal that's out, and pretty soon we'll be pushing a new facilities portal out. So it'd just be like the IT portal where you send all your requests in, and that's how they'll get tracked. It should help with making sure some of the facility stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. But give us a little bit to get caught up and get a system in place. I'm working on getting some bids sent out, or requests for bids through service providers so we can move more quickly without having to go through an individual 3-bid process every time. But it's going to be a building process. So I appreciate y'all's patience. That's end of report. Oh, yes. Well, you know, I normally let Sherry, but what name do you want to give AA on?
Yeah, I'm afraid to announce it.
This is Aaron Jacobs, if you'll stand up. This is the new help desk technician. And Brent is now the new IT manager in North Dakota.
All right. James Blair,
Yes.
just make sure we get, especially the training, might not hurt to have a book put together too, so the chiefs can have it at their station, so if they have a question or forget a step, they can refer to the book. All right, Chief Smith, now it's your turn, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Attached in your book is my normal information. A couple of things. I've noticed that we're on track for approximately 10,000 calls for the year in the district. And you know that I kind of ran that same number during the budget workshop, so that's kind of staying true to that. Looking back, that's about 1,000 to 2,000 calls more. And that's kind of that's how it's jumping each year roughly. We're still waiting on our masks. We had what we thought was a time frame. Chief Nelson talked to her earlier, or sometime last week. She was not able to give him that date. Same with the rip packs. Of course, the trucks are ordered. We don't have anybody deployed right now, and our reimbursements are in process with TDM. We're actually getting checks as pretty quickly.
Pretty much all of them are in.
They're pretty much all in. Okay. And then as far as my month, I've been working to begin the implementation request for our next budget year. I met with Mike and with the landlord to discuss something you guys will talk about soon. Larry and I toured, the chief plant toured the back building to see the progress of where they've made on that. Helped Larry with the purchasing policy, prepared and submitted the paper call for the previous years that was approved. Then Larry and I sat down with fleet and logistics and even IT to talk about the transition away from like me to him. And I started passing things, and we're still in daily discussion on things. And then of course I've drafted the hiring timeline that we'll talk about later on. Do you guys have any other questions for me?
I just asked if you go back and look at the 41 one-person responses and the 12 no response. We have a tendency sometimes to gloss over and say, most of them are acceptable, but is there a nugget in there somewhere that says that something got past us that we need to address? So there may be that one in there that really is relevant that we need to take care of. But they just seem to be creeping up in quantity.
Okay.
Item 19. Report.
Thank you, sir. You have a copy of my report. I'll be brief. It outlines my activities for the past month or so. Meeting with different people, a lot of communication going on. I'm very impressed with the team effort internally and within our staff and externally with the volunteer departments and chiefs. That's going well. More work to be done. We're on the right path, but we've got a lot of work to do together, but it's a good group. I did meet with Larry White. I want to target on that a little bit, working on getting our chaplain program up, running, refurbished, whatever you want to call it. I'm encouraged by that. There's a lot of opportunity there to help internally, help our personnel, and externally help the public when those services are needed. I'll talk more in detail during the closed session about my meeting with the landlord, but that went well. And we've got some good information for you there. And we're working on a draft of the updated DFT contracts. We're working with Mike Roper on that as well. And we will, prior to bringing it for board approval, I want to meet with the VFD liaisons and the chiefs to work on that as well. So still work to be done, but we've made a lot of progress in getting that ready for them. And we did interview some people for the AA position. We've got some more interviews next week as well to get that taken care of. Let's see, working on some drafts of the job descriptions. And the auction has begun. It's online. There's the link. You can go see it for yourself and pictures, and feel free to bid for somebody. I don't know, whatever you want to do. But it's there. Any questions?
Item number 20 would be closed session. The board will convene a closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Business Code 5001.071, 551.072, and 551.074. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. Final decision or final vote will be taken after the board reconvenes in open session. And we are in closed session at 7:36. Chief, please don't. We're second, County ESD2 back to order at 9:05 p.m. Item 21.1, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the proposed lease option renewal for the administrative office property at 14128 Highway 110 White House.
Make the motion that we would authorize the approval to extend the lease, or sign the lease renewal as submitted for 2 years for the property at 14128 Highway 110 West White House.
Have a motion by Commissioner Domney that we sign the lease agreement for 2 years for the property at 14128 Highway 110 North White House. Do I have a second? Have a second by Commissioner McKeithen. Any other discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 21.2, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the proposal to extend the term of the current VFD contracts.
Make a motion that we authorize the amendment for extension and authorize Johnny to sign that on our behalf.
And for how long?
Through the end of the year.
Till December 31st?
Yes.
Have a motion by Commissioner McKeithen to authorize me to sign an amendment to the VFD contract, extending it through December 31st of 2022. Have a second? Second. Have a second by Commissioner Domney. Any other discussion or question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 21.3, discuss and consider and take any necessary action on testing and hiring process.
I make a motion to authorize the budget amount of $50,000 for testing and the approval of phase 1 of the hiring process.
Have a motion by Commissioner McKeithen to approve the full amount of $50,000 for testing for the hiring process and the hire.
And to approve phase 1.
Approve phase 1. And a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion or question? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 21.4, we won't need to do anything on that. And 21.5, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on PTO's policy. There's no action. No action there either. Okay. All right. Item 22, remarks by presiding officer and any board members. Only thing I need to say is the Fight family wanted me to thank each and every department that participated in the memorial service Friday for Ronnie. The ones of you that don't know him, he was one of the original signers for the petition to get it all started, get the ESD started. So the other one was this guy sitting here right beside me. So if you want to blame anybody, blame those two guys for everything that went on. But anyway, the family just want to tell me how much they appreciated the one that did show up. I know everybody couldn't show up, but they appreciated it. That's about all I have. Commissioner Donald, you have anything? Commissioner Wilson? Commissioner Keith? Mr. Edwards? We are adjourned at 9:09.